hopping on here before I wake my son up to get him ready for school. I know I'm up pretty early. This is pretty much my daily routine where I get up around 4, sometimes 4:15, to start my daily routine. Pretty much with reading my Bible, praying, and so that pretty much gets my day started. And it's like clockwork. Sometimes I even wake up before, or should I say, God wakes me up before my alarm goes off at 4 o'clock sometimes. So, but anyways, so I'm hopping back on here to talk about something very important. As I'm going to continue this series of safeguarding our children, because when we think about it, the world grooms our children in so many ways. It's not just on a physical level. The world grooms our children even on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level more than we realize it. And so this is just basically going based off of something that I just paid attention to, because to be honest with you, I pay attention to a lot of things. I've just decided to go ahead and just be more vocal about them on this platform, and just move quiet in public. So yeah, which to be honest with you, moving quiet in public is actually the smart thing to do. Because it definitely keeps me safe in a lot of ways, but it also helps me to understand the importance of giving people grace as well, the same way that God gives me grace on a daily, because I am nowhere near perfect. I'm still putting in the work. This is something, to be honest with you, putting in the work on yourself, that's a job that you have to show up for every day of your life. It doesn't matter how old you get. It never stops. So, but anyways, I wanted to speak on how the world grooms our children, even with fast food restaurants. So on my way to the library earlier last week, I just noticed on the sign of a Burger King fast food restaurant, right, where it was advertising a back to school $5 kids meal for our children, right? And then it even says open late. So I just thought to myself about how no doubt that could be very enticing for some parents to do, to stop by Burger King, get a $5 kids meal for dinner, for their kids, for like their smaller children. No doubt, of course, it would seem easier to do, especially if it's parents or a parent, because some parents, they are single parents. So, but no doubt this would seem like the easiest route to take on school nights where children may have extracurricular activities going on at school, where they're getting out of school at a later time, such as 5:30, 6 in the evening, and they may not make it home until like 7. Also, with how the economy is looking, the cost of living has went up, so no doubt some parents may be putting in overtime to make sure that they can keep up with the more important expenses, such as rent, lights, water, gas, trash, any other important expenses that they have to cover, to make sure that them and their children have a place to live. And so I get it. But at the same time, this is no doubt bait from this fast food restaurant. And, I'm sure Burger King is not the only fast food restaurant that, you know, grooms our children early on with their health and their decision making as far as their health. This advertisement is also no doubt very enticing for our children in high school that may, start working when they're like 16, because I believe you can start working at 16. I think a child has to have a worker's permit at 15, but you can definitely start working at 16. So no doubt this advertisement is even enticing for some of our children in high school who may juggle part-time work and school. And so it's just that easy for our children in high school to get a $5 kids meal, or to buy fast food, period, because it's fast. That's why it's called fast food, because it's so convenient. And so it's no doubt the convenience that can draw parents in, that can draw our children in high school in, because, we're constantly being pulled in a lot of different directions, with work, with school, and, our children go to school for 8 hours, and then parents work for 8 hours, and then sometimes it's more than 8 hours. Let's not talk about how some of our children are in sports, or in the debate class, just in extra school activities that extend their time at school from 8 hours to probably 10 hours, probably 12 hours. Especially if they have track meets, especially if they have basketball games and football games. And no doubt, that takes a lot of energy from our children. Same thing with parents who put in overtime. Sometimes you can put in an hour or 2 hours of overtime. So now you done worked 10 hours, sometimes 12 hours. Because for, a lot of different reasons that could have kept the parent at their job longer than what they anticipated. My whole point is that, it's understood that the world drains us of our time and our energy with work and school. That's very understandable. And then not to mention, to add more to the stress, bills. With the cost of living, food is very high. And so, but it's so very important for us to still safeguard our children, even from messages like this from fast food restaurants, because in all honesty, this ad that Burger King is promoting, it's not really to benefit our children. It's not to benefit the parents as well, even though, at the moment it seems very convenient, because truth be told, not saying that some parents don't cook when they get off work for their kids, and shout out to you if you do, but realistically speaking, most parents, they're going to want to go for what's fast, what's convenient, and that's understandable, because again, these jobs are very demanding, and they're even more demanding nowadays, because with the way the economy is looking, at most of these jobs now, they could have you performing tasks outside of the position that you apply for, because that's just how scarce a lot of these jobs are, as far as keeping being able to have a consistent roster of having a full staff, right? It's hard for a lot of jobs to keep people, is what I'm saying. So that's draining in itself, because it's like, okay, well, now you're performing 5 different tasks at one time, maybe 10, and you're only getting paid $15 an hour, just to throw a number out there. So you're gonna be tired as a parent. You're gonna be very tired. Then on top of that, you're putting in overtime. You're gonna be extremely tired, and it's understandable that you wouldn't you'll come home on an empty tank, because of how much time and energy you poured into this job for 10 hours today. And now you have to come home and cook. Sometimes you're not going to feel like cooking. And that's understandable in a situation like that. But at the same time, I still do believe that it's important to at least not make it a habit of, feeding our children fast food every night on a school night. I don't think that's healthy, because at the end of the day, I'm not here to shame parents that buy their children fast food. I'm not here to even tell parents to stop buying their children fast food, because that's not my place. It's not my place. And I do understand the importance of having respect and boundaries. So, but what I am saying is this: I think it's so important to do things in moderation. And the reason why I say that is because while although it is convenient for a parent to purchase fast food for their child on a school night, where realistically they're too tired from putting in overtime at work and also feeling overworked because of overperforming at work, and so it's understandable, it's convenient to purchase fast food for their child on a school night so that their child can get a little bit, get the rest that they need to feel refreshed for school the next day, and so that the parent can get the rest that they need to feel refreshed to go back to work and do it all over again. That's very understandable. But at the same time, I still think that it would be best and it'll be in the best interest of the child to, do something like this in moderation. I don't think it should be done too frequently, because this can not only wreak havoc on a child's physical health, it can also wreak havoc on a child's mental health as well, emotional health, and spiritual health as well. It really can. More than we realize it, and this could also lead to health issues either early on while they're young, because children developing type 2 diabetes, that's very real. High cholesterol, that's very real, very, very real. But type 2 diabetes, that's definitely what we need to watch out for with our children, So definitely health issues can come up for our children while they're young with type 2 diabetes, or later on in life. Why? Because then we're basically on a subconscious level, when a parent is constantly buying fast food for their child on a school night and it's consistent, then this is subconsciously teaching that child to purchase fast food, once they reach adulthood, when they're getting off of work after they didn't put in overtime. They didn't work 12 hours. And now they're too tired to fix them a quick, fast, but healthy meal. Because absolutely, there are, make no mistake about it, there are healthy options where you can fix something quick and you just balance your plate out. Absolutely. And I know this for a fact because I've done it myself. So I do it myself sometimes, because sometimes I don't, depending on how busy my day was, and my son is getting out of school, and I want to make sure that our routine is not being interrupted. you know Sometimes I cook something quick for me and him, but I still make sure that it's balanced, because that's just what healthy means. Healthy just means balance. So with that being said, yeah, just do things in moderation. And also, it's so very important as parents and as a community that we educate ourselves on how to, balance our child's meal out, so that our children will not face health issues while they're still young or later in life. This could help our children to prioritize good health, because it is so very important. Also, if our children are constantly eating fast food on school nights, this also can interfere with their learning abilities at school. It could definitely cause them to have brain fog. It could cause them to lose concentration in class, and it could definitely have a negative impact on their performance in class. So, because make no mistake about it, food, it not only will affect our children on a physical level, as far as their gut health, it'll also affect their mood. I don't think a lot of parents understand how food works, because food doesn't just feed us physically. Food also really does affect us mentally and emotionally and spiritually as well. And so if if us as parents want our children to do well in school, then it's important that we make sure that they are eating a balanced meal to help them to be alert in class, to help them to be attentive while the teacher is giving them the lesson that they need for the day, so that they can be able to perform their best when they have tests, right? But as well as this will help them once they become adults as well. This will help them to become responsible, with their health, instead of sabotaging their health on a subconscious level, because going to a fast food restaurant is just so convenient, so then it starts to become a part of their daily routine where they're just constantly eating out. But not only that, it'll also save money. It'll save the parents money right now while our children are in school. This will also teach our children, once they do start working in corporate America, to save money as well, especially nowadays, because oh, that ad, the $5 kids meal ad, it may seem enticing now, but those $5 add up, okay? Plus tax, and then you have to think about how many children you're buying this kids meal for. That money adds up within a week. So if you hold on to those receipts, or pay attention to your statements, So, but that's it for today. I'm gonna go ahead and get my son ready for school, and then I have to take care of some important things for myself. I'm gonna keep this series going on to safeguard our children on every level. So y'all be blessed, and y'all stay tuned for more.